My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Buried Alive, the 1990 TV movie directed by Frank Darabont. Not the 1989 movie, because when you look up Buried Alive on any website, you always get the 1989 one first. And I'm like, no, I don't want this one. I want the one directed by Frank Darabont. This movie actually took me forever to find. I couldn't find it on any streaming sites, on any websites, or anything. I eventually found it on eBay, but man, this movie was a lot harder to find than I thought it would be. But the other one kept popping up. So I'm very glad to finally find it, to finally watch it, and to finally say I enjoyed this movie. This is one of Frank Darabont's lesser known movies. No one talks about this movie along with The Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile and The Mist. This kind of just seems to be forgotten, and I can see why. It's not on the same level of those other three movies, but I still think this is a perfectly fine, enjoyable B-movie thriller. But let's begin talking about the cast, first with Tim Matheson, and I think he does a perfectly fine job. I don't think he's great, but he's not bad either. He could use a bit more personality. I actually think the standout here is Jennifer Jason Leigh. She is really good in this movie. She both manages to be kind of sexy, but also a complete psychopath, and she just walks that line incredibly well. And there's just this one moment where she's trying to do something, and the husband's making a lot of noises, and her response to those noises is the same thing later on when she's trying to do something and the dog keeps barking, and she has the same response. So I really like that, and I just liked what she brought to this character. Then you've also got William Antwerton, who I thought did a good job as well. If this movie was remade nowadays, I feel like James Spader would be the perfect person to play this character. But that said, William still does a really good job. And then you've got Hoyt Axton, who I thought did a good job as well. I would have liked a bit more from him, but he's good in the time we see him, and I like the friendship he has with Clint. And like I said earlier, this movie is directed by Frank Darabont, but it does have that B-movie feel to it, which I find works really well. It does feel a little cheap, but I don't mind it. I think it still makes for an entertaining movie. My biggest issue is that the first hour is a little slow. It does set up every single piece that needs to be set up, but I just wish they did it with a bit more energy, a bit more personality. But once we get to the last act, I just feel like this movie delivered in every way. I was kind of worried we're just going to get a cliche torture porn finale, but they actually went in a much different and in a much smarter direction than I was expecting. And I don't want to give anything away just because not a lot of people have seen this movie, but I really loved the last act. I don't want to give anything away. I just thought it was something so different and something that got under your skin and was very effective. And I loved the last shot in this movie. I just found it to be absolutely perfect for what kind of movie this one is. And there is also another scene where this guy has injured hands and he puts them in a sink filled with peroxide, and just the pain he feels in that moment, I feel like I could connect with. Like whenever I was a kid and I scraped my knee on the gym floors and it got skinned and you put peroxide on it, it was always very painful. And to see that on a much larger scale here, I thought was really effective. And I haven't really mentioned the story because I don't want to give anything away, but I do like the story. I like all the twists and turns it's got. It's kind of got some elements that feel like a Hitchcock movie, some elements that feel like a Tales from the Crypt episode, but either way, I really enjoyed it. This movie is not going to blow you away. It's not great, but as a way to spend 90 minutes and be perfectly entertained during that time, I think the movie does just that and delivers with a really good finale. I'm going to go ahead and give Buried Alive, the 1990 version, directed by Frank Darabont, not to be confused with the other one. I'm going to go ahead and give it a 6 out of 10. Like I said, this is one movie that I feel like nobody talks about, but if you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend it. It's worth a watch. But have you seen Buried Alive? What did you think about it? What did you think of that last act? Did you like it as much as me? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe. Stay tuned for some more videos soon, and Gavin out.